Typically, when I'm animating a head for a character, I'll have multiple layers. I'll have a layer for the head, sometimes a layer for the eyes, or maybe even both eyes, and of course, a separate layer for the mouth. Well, we've done something a little bit different with our WereFoot character in that the eyes, the mouth, and the head, it's all a single layer. But because we're using our bone deformer, we're going to be able to make this look a little more alive just by distorting and giving it the ability to move around. Now, the document I'm using is the WereFoot, and it's the rig head version. So if you want to open that, you simply go to Open and go to Chapter 3. Under WereFoot, you would find the rig head version. And that's the version we're going to be working with. So what I want to do is go ahead and solo the head layer. So go to my timeline and click the solo icon on the head layer. And let's go up to my rigging tool. And I'll click just once to select the head. And I want the pivot point to be about where the neck would be. And I'm going to go about midway, right about where his cheekbones would be. And this is where I want my articulator to be. And we'll stick the last bone right at the top. I'm going to click and drag out the articulator. And I'll go to my transform tool and test this out. Looks pretty decent. And we'll undo that, Command Z. And go back to my rigging tool, and let's see what happens if we shrink the articulator. All right, it's not as flexible. So we'll go back to our rig, and we're going to make this a little bit larger again. So what happens if we go all the way out to the edge? All right. And though we're not animating yet, I do want to show you exactly the beauty of working with the articulator just on a single layer. We still have all of our drawing substitutions showing for the mouth. So I want to do a few things here. One, I want to go ahead and change the layer name, and we'll call this the head bone. And I want to drop in a keyframe at the very first frame. Let's go ahead and collapse this layer here. So add on a keyframe. Let's do F6. And I want to turn on my animate button. And go back to frame 10. And let's say we'll rotate the head down a bit. So if you look, I'm just kind of scrubbing back and forth, and you can see what's happening just with that little bit of movement. So we only have one articulator. And let's turn off the bones. And let's take a look at this all by itself with nothing showing. And you can see how much more life is being brought to that versus if I go ahead and expand this, I can turn off my bones so you don't see any of that deformation being animated. This is what it looks like normal. And let's turn the bones back on. And this is with the deformation. So even though we had a head here that didn't have the eyes or the mouth separated, we're able to give a lot more life to this character just by adding in a simple bone deformation.